Today on the series Performance Tips, I'm going to show you how to write a bass line. Here we go.
Performance tips. We will make better music.
Bass lines. Some people think they're important. I happen to think so myself. I am a bass player by trade, a bass player by training, and today I'm going to show you my thought process when I am given a piece of music that is bassless. Not bassless, bassless. Today I'll be walking you through that process here on the Tascam Porta 2, and then how to come up with a brand new bass line based on with no input or some input. It may seem obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Before you do anything else, first thing you need to do is listen to the track and just listen to it. There are three main things you're getting when you first listen to the track with no bass playing. First is just the overall vibe and feel of the song, how it inspires you. Second, which is really important, is the form. I'm really paying close attention to form. And then thirdly, if you can do it without an instrument, the harmony. When you're just listening with what the harmony is. I'm not talking about perfect pitch. You don't need to know if it's an A or a B or a C or a D, but it's good to get an idea of if something's major, minor, the chord changes, the relative chord changes. So let's listen to the track. Let's see what we've got going on here. That's a cool little track. The drums are clearly just kind of driving straight ahead. I like to focus in the drums as a bass player. My teacher, Robert Hurst, always had a saying, if you put rhythm first, everything else will follow. So that's kind of been my philosophy. I know it's not everyone's philosophy, and not everyone agrees with that, but that's just how I've always worked it out. So let's talk about the form. So I was hearing pretty even sections. You basically had like AAB, AAB, then a C section, and then the A section goes until the end. If that's confusing, the letters, let me know. Hit me in the comments, because I come from a school of thought where we sections, A sections, B sections, C sections. And then the third thing, the harmony. I'm hearing suspended chords in the A section, nothing complicated, going to not suspended, and then then it sounds like it moves down a whole step, and then that C section, it sounds like it goes to like a minor major thing, like. So you've listened to the song, you've got the form, you've got the harmony, you've got that stuff down, you've got the vibe. The first thing I like to do is just basic locking in with the drums, even more basic than you would possibly think. So I'm just gonna lock in with the kick drum on the root notes, just to get a feel for the harmony. Just locking in with the kick drum on this track has a nice little bounce to it, because the guitar is doing something so different, the synth is doing something so different. That's where I like to start. So that's the first thing I do. I listen to the drums and I play the basic roots. Now let's play with the rhythm a little bit more. Let's see what it sounds like to throw it more into a quarter note feel. So that would be like... Totally making this stuff up on the fly. You can hear I ended up doing an anticipating thing and then letting a note hang over. Part of the writing process is experimenting with these new different rhythms and either shelving it in your brain if you can do it, or record it and separate it, because we're getting somewhere. Right now it's feeling very groovy. And very simple, which might be all that this piece of music needs. But, you know, I'm a bass player. Let's explore a little bit more. So that was 2 ideas shelved. Let's go for a 3rd idea. Let's play around with 8th notes. So that was real quick. That was one bass line with just half notes, one bass line with just quarter notes, and one bass line with just straight eighths, all root notes. I slid around a little bit here and there, but don't worry about that. This is right off the bat, just thinking of 3 different rhythms, how drastically different the feel is. Now, some people might consider this done, but generally at this point, if I'm creating a bass line, just open. This is where you start to open your mind. Just let the ideas flow through. You know, you've just laid down the foundations, and now you can kind of absorb those and regurgitate them in the moment. This is improvising, kids. I like that. See, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're thinking in phrases. So what I think I ended up landing on, which even if this isn't what it was, this is what's in my head now. So let's go back and see if that fits. Let me just take that rhythm. Oh, and then I also liked when going to the different key of just kind of more 4 on the floor. So let's try that. Ooh, I'm really liking this. We started with just basic half notes with the kick drum. We just went straight quarter notes. Then we went straight eighth notes. And then we took inspiration from each of those. And now we've created this phrase, this phrasing of this bass line. And it is just playing root notes right now. And that might be all it needs. At this point, however, this is when I will start to experiment with note choice. And if there's a strong melody, that plays a huge factor. I'm gonna take that exact same rhythm and now I'm gonna change the notes around just to see what happens. So here we go. Clearly, I took almost the same rhythm. I cheated. I did get inspired in the moment. Again, this is improvising. So trying to take that same rhythmic framework that we already established and changing the notes, adding some notes. So here's what it is currently as I just played it. When I say I'm gonna be a bad teacher right now, because I'm gonna say, work within a framework, but then you can immediately abandon it, sort of. I think you should set up frameworks for yourself and then use them as launching pads, just so you don't get lost, and so there's some kind of cohesion behind your ideas, behind your parts. Have fun. I encourage you to improvise. That's the word of the day, improvise. The very, very last thing that I think of as a bass player in recording a bass line or performing is taking the overall whole structure and how can I create some kind of arc. I'm thinking of the outro section. I could easily just be playing the same bass lines I've been playing in the beginning, but I always think that there's some kind of lift that can happen. So I'm thinking in my brain right now, just as I'm sitting here with you, making this up on the fly, I'm thinking maybe I should try going up high on the high register for the outro and see where that leads me. And so this is, again, last thing I do is just thinking of the overall arc of the music. This might work, this might not work. Let's try it out. That was a thing. I don't know if I loved it, but you could hear, in the context of a song, if there's a melody, if there's a singer, just changing the register on the bass can really help shape where a song is going. I mean, I don't want to ramble, so there you have it. That's the kit and caboodle. That's me in a nutshell. This is the process of writing a bass line, listening, playing simple, playing a little more complicated, and combining ideas, saving ideas, shelving ideas, and then totally abandoning them and making new ones. Improvisation. Do not be afraid of this word. Have fun in the moment, and then if you develop good memory, then you can remember your ideas, but I highly recommend recording your ideas if you're precious about them. The more you practice just improvising and trying to remember, the better you'll get at remembering the idea you just played. If it seems like I breezed past anything, as I often do, let me know. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments section below. I love to talk bass. That is my profession. That is what I do when it's not COVID times. And here we are on the Made on Tape channel, exploring limitations. And with that, as always, peace and be good to each other. got gremlins today in the recording gear.